I needed to have this press conference because it's such an important one. Just to brief you of my recent observations across the whole country. And I would say, fellow Zimbabweans, as I come to you, I'm coming to you under extreme circumstances of emergency and a crisis in our country. Just this morning, I arrived from Zimbabwe. In fact, I arrived around in the AM of this morning. I arrived because I don't normally want to travel at night. What I saw in Zimbabwe, particularly in Zimbabwe community, is a very disturbing trend in the country. But it's not an isolated case. This is what I've also seen in Mashonaland East, which is basically our stronghold. I say so because of what I saw in Uzumba, what I saw in Toko, what I saw in Wenza, and in Seke. But in Toko, I hear that today they are busy beating drums and singing songs, chanting slogans, saying that Chamisa is not acceptable in this zone of theirs, as they say. Unfortunately, they didn't know that I've already been to Toko, to Makaha, and I've seen and heard the stories and the cries of people in Makaha who are saying that all their gold is gone, all their resources are gone, their traditional land has been taken away. And what they are not getting from government is support, security, and assurance that their concerns are being taken on board. I want to thank the people of Mashonaland East, in particular Uzumba, Maramba, and Mfungwe, Mrewa, Toko, Wedza, for being very strong, for remaining steadfast, and for supporting the citizen movement, and for supporting the alternative. Under very difficult circumstances, against all odds, they continue to support us. There is unprecedented violence. Terror has become a daily dose, and also with war zones. People in those communities are not allowed to freely associate, assemble, or even move. What shocks me is that wherever I go, there is always a counter program by ZANU-PF, exactly at the venue where we'll be holding our meetings. Just yesterday in Gokwe, I was shocked that July Moyo, Mackenzie, Larry Mavima, were literally coordinating an alternative in the counter program, not elsewhere, but where we were holding our meeting. And of course, they imposed themselves on the police, making the lives of our police officers very difficult, because they then poison it with politics. Instead of the police doing their duties, they are now being accused of belonging to one party or the other. Very unfortunate. That has been the case elsewhere. You know, when I went to Mashingo for the first time in my rural outreach program, and by the way, I'm going into the countryside to listen to the people, to hear their grievances and their cries, but also to share with them our next steps. A lot of people have been saying, what is the next stage? What is the next stage? We are very clear about what we are doing. And this is why we've been engaging business people, the church leaders. We've been engaging. Of course, unlike my brother, who is going and doing fair in all the churches. I don't do that. I go to the bishops, the leadership of the church, engage them respectfully. I will never go to any church congregation and sing or chant slogans. That's blasphemous. You are poisoning holy places. And my brother has been doing this with a lot of wanton disregard, because he probably does not know that being at State House is not being in heaven. And it must be understood that the church must continue to be undiluted as places of worship and not to be contaminated by partisan political issues. So I've said we have seen this whole thing of roadblocks. In Uzumba, there were roadblocks everywhere. Just yesterday, they did a funny thing in Gokwe. You know, they chased after our convoy. We had to find ways of blocking them through our security teams. They had guns, AK-47s, and of course they had almost 21 vehicles. But I understand that Julaima was also part of that delegation. What shocks me is that you have government ministers who are behaving like little thugs. I don't understand it. They literally incite violence, sponsor violence, coordinate violence, which is unfortunate, very unfortunate. What we would want is to insist on peace. As I indicated, rural areas have become centers of mass victimization, intimidation, and terror against citizens, particularly those who are in the alternative. I've seen that our chiefs are in trouble. Village heads are in trouble. They are being subjected to incessant harassment, 24-hour surveillance. Food from government, support from government is weaponized. Hate has become commonplace in the rural areas. Violence has also become a big issue. But what I also heard, which is very disturbing, is that those who have always been violent are also dying mysterious deaths, particularly in Uzumba. I was told that all those ZANU-PF people who were very instrumental in 2008 in the violence and before have all died in mysterious circumstances. It was something that we celebrate. It's an unfortunate thing. We don't want those kinds of things, but that is what is happening. Food, as I said, is weaponized. The human rights situation in the country has gotten to another level. What is clear is that the subject of the matter is human rights. You go to the villages, people do not have access to basic services on account of a party that they are alleged to belong to. I also got the information that issuance of party identity cards is being done by party leadership, ZANU-PF party leadership in the various areas. Why is this being done? Because they want to do regimented voting, command voting. That has become a big issue. And this is why Mr. Mhadi has been going around the country addressing crow heads and village heads. In Kabuna alone, we have about 1,908 villages. The whole country over 35,000. And Mr. Mhadi has been addressing all of them. He's not addressing them to encourage them, to empower them. He's addressing them to intimidate them and to threaten them that they should not allow CCC activities or the citizen movement to do things. They've localized violence, they've localized things, and to make sure that they also stop. I was being told just this morning that, like I said, in Toko, they were saying, oh, Chamisa will not come here, will not allow him. I want to say this to ZANU. I'll go anywhere and everywhere. You will not stop. You are not the owners of this land. Zimbabwe belongs to Zimbabwe. Mr. Mnangagwa, accept fair competition. Don't resort to your tactics that you have used before. They will not work on you. I can tell you this. I'm ready. I'm ready for peace. I'm ready to fight to the finish, peacefully, legally, and constitutionally. I know that you are using unconstitutional means, underhand tactics, and you have also been abusing the courts. But I can tell you, victory for the citizens is certain. And we're determined, the people are determined, no darkness lasts forever. All darkness is but for a season. Just a few months ago, past 6 months, it's shocking to see that we've had over 28 arrests, mainly of opposition leaders, including the Nyatsime 16. Just yesterday alone in Gokwe, 13 people were injured, badly injured. I saw all of them. Some were burnt, literally by fire, torture in broad daylight. Why? Because you are putting on a yellow t-shirt. And what they don't know is that I've been telling people that, look, if they want to kill you for t-shirts, don't worry about the t-shirts. Let's go Operation Mango. Yellow inside, green outside. Why? To preserve yourselves. Be ZANU in their slogans. Be ZANU wherever you are going. But show and maintain your integrity to support the change that you believe in. We've seen that there is a deliberate deployment of state institutions, processes by the ruling party, which points to a desperate attempt. They are very desperate What is clear is that from what we are seeing, ZANU-PF is cornered on its way out. They have nothing to offer other than violence. People are seeing through their gimmicks and their lies and propaganda. No one should be persecuted, threatened, or attacked for wanting a better Zimbabwe. The violence that has been reported is completely a declaration against the citizens. But history tells us that citizens always come first and come out best. And they always win, and we shall. We want to urge our police officers and security agents to continue to do their legal and lawful duty to protect the citizens, defend the law, and protect the country, as guaranteed by the Constitution. As a citizen movement, I must emphasize, we are against all violence, threats, coercion, and as a government in waiting, we are patriotic, ready, as peace champions, focusing on the bread and butter issues, the answers that are going to bring solutions to the people of Zimbabwe as we inspire people to vote for change. Where there is discord, we continue to bring harmony. And where there is error, we bring correction. Where there is doubt, we bring faith. Where there is rottenness, we are bringing freshness and change. And where there is despair, we bring hope. We will not be drawn into very deliberate attempts to invite us into violence. We've seen the temptation, we've seen the machinations of ZANU-PF. They want us to descend into violence so that they can then justify a state of emergency, justify then their tomfoolery, justify their macho tactics and their violence. But we will not allow them, that violence. We will remain peaceful. We will remain maintaining peace. A lot of people have been saying, but Mr. Chamisa, we can't be beaten, with our hands tied behind our back. I say, peace is fragile. Peace comes at a cost. Our high road is a high road to democracy. Mr. Tsvangirai would always say, I will never walk on dead bodies to State House. I would repeat the same statement. Because I know that our road and journey to State House is assured. So why would we lose a single life on account of politics? That will not happen. Let me also comment just on the issue of the economy and corruption. We note with concern that the economy continues to fail many Zimbabweans, but this is due to spectacular mismanagement and endemic corruption. If you look at what I've stated before, the economy is failing on account of bad leadership and bad governance. Look at how Zimbabweans are being treated in the neighboring countries. Like people without identity, without a heritage, without a nation and land. But each year the country is losing 3 billion, both to illicit flows and plunder of money through corruption that is taking place in state-owned institutions, by the admission of the state organs themselves. Ironically, in gold alone, the country has lost about 100 million every time, which amounts to our monthly requirements for medical drugs, hospitals. 1.8 billion that is lost through our illicit financial flows is enough to pay a salary bill of the entire civil service, paying them $500 per month. Currently, the price basket is about 140,000. And if you look at what the civil servants are getting, they're getting peanuts. They can't make ends meet. That is the same story with all our people who are in the various professions across the various sectors. Having said this, one would say, but what would you say about the electoral environment in the country? Let me just say that in terms of our elections in the country, what is clear is that ZANU-PF is now engaged in a systematic attempt to try and reverse their defeat, which is inevitable in 2023. They are trying to manipulate electoral processes and outcomes, peg the constitutional and electoral bodies with their own people. But we will not allow them. It's a fight that we are going to undertake. What we need to see is the entrenchment of the SADC AU protocols, the values and principles of elections that are supposed to be embarked on. And I repeat, what they are doing is illegal and unconstitutional in terms of all the statutes within the country, in the region, and on the continent. The fees that they've charged are unacceptable. They want to make democracy a commodity, commodify elections, bring elections outside and out of the reach of many people. The appointment of commissioners has to be an agreed matter. It takes two to tango. They can't tango alone, and we will not allow them to tango. What are we going to do about it? We have already instituted a number of measures. Engagement of SADC is one of them. But also locally, we are engaging all the key stakeholders to make sure that there's a collective voice around this matter. There's going to be a free and fair election in 2023, and we'll have to make sure that that election becomes a possibility. If there's no free and fair election in Zimbabwe, what it tells you is that the problems in our country will never come to an end. And I was telling some leaders within the region that the immigration crisis, as it is called, in the Southern African Development Community is not an immigration crisis. It is indeed a governance crisis in Zimbabwe. People are running out of this country on account of a deficit of good governance, the economic circumstances that they find themselves in, and if we don't resolve those, we will not be able to move forward. So I've given a couple of suggestions to our colleagues in South Africa to also give a moment and an opportunity to the people of Zimbabwe so that there is some kind of a breathing space for them as we fix our own situation in this country. We can't call Zimbabweans criminal because certain individuals in South Africa who are Zimbabwean have been criminal. You don't label and condemn the entire country on account of a few individuals who may have, unfortunately because of their own circumstances, have done something that is criminal. Let me conclude by saying, victory is certain. I've seen Mr. Mnangagwa yesterday. He was in Mashonaland Central, where people at a church, or allegedly at a church, were singing about Chamisa this, Chamisa this, Chamisa that. I want to thank Mr. Mnangagwa for being my big campaign manager. He's doing a fantastic job. You know, the only unfortunate thing is that he has taken his campaign to places that he's not supposed to, the church. I don't mind what the devil says about me, but I would be worried if the devil says something good about me. And as I have stated, State House is not heaven. We can't fight for power just for the sake of power. We are not fighting for power. We are fighting for change. We are fighting for values. We are fighting for a better life. We are fighting for dignity and peace, not just for citizens in the CCC, but also for ZANU-PF. Our fight is not a partisan fight. It is a national fight. We need a new consensus as a people. Beyond the liberation consensus, we need to come together in the transformational consensus. Work together and transform our fortunes as a people, as a country. And that's why we have said we count on our veterans. They are being abused. They are being used as an extension of a political party. They are not an extension of any political party. They can't be a wing of any political party. They belong to Zimbabwe. They are custodians, guardians, and defenders, as well as guarantors of our ideals as a liberation nation. It's like the chiefs, custodians of our culture, tradition, and heritage. Don't abuse them into politics. Having said, I'm so excited by what I'm seeing in the countryside. People are so determined. They are saying victory is certain. They are saying we are going to win by a big margin, and we'll win big. And I see 2023 as an opportunity for people to come together, unite, and win big as citizens. Some are saying, hey, it doesn't make a sense, for us to go and participate in voting. Let me tell you this. Those who discourage you from participating in voting know the power of your vote. This is why they are discouraging you. This is why they say even if you vote, we will rig. It will not change things. They know that the vote counts, the vote matters. That is why they want to discourage you disempower you. You are the masters. They are the servants. Politicians cannot be the ones who wag the body or the dog. We are the tail that should be wagged by the citizens. So please, citizens, take charge. Citizens, register to vote. Young people, this is your time. This is your nation. Make it. If you don't, you break it. Thank you very much.
We thank our change champion.